Hey, folks, one of the Redneck Country podcasts. You were on with Real Redneck Todd Millard, and of course, we've got the almost guy, Real Redneck Bill. Tom Bill, are you there?
I am here, and it's a beautiful night for a podcast.
It is a beautiful night for a podcast. I have no idea if it is. I haven't been outside. I'm going to take your word for it because you are probably sitting somewhere with lots of windows where you can see outside.
It's dark out right now, Todd, in case you were wondering. But yes, it is one of them days that I'm glad that I have a warm cup of tea in my hands and lots of clothes on because it is winter.
It's dark out. Sure. Folks, we are recording at 10 a.m. It just shows you how often the wool is pulled over Bill's eyes that it's dark out for him.
That's it. It's an illusion.
Yeah. No, really, it's what, 7:45, so it is dark out. Yeah. Don't think you're crazy, Bill. I got your back.
That's it. And who else do we got sitting there in the studio tonight?
No, I wasn't even going to go. Like he's comfy. He's relaxed. He was talking really quiet. Like we didn't even need to have him on. He was just going to sit and listen. Do I even need to introduce him?
I think you should. I mean, it's 1/3 of our podcast here.
It's 1/3.
It's the truth.
I thought you were just going to sit and listen. Ladies and gentlemen, sitting beside me as always in the studio is the patriarch of Redneck Country, my father, Real Redneck Todd Millard. Dad, guess we know your mic is hot.
My mic is hot. And the ready guy, never ready guy, was actually ready tonight. I'm impressed.
Well, then, yeah, he was close. I'll give him that.
Oh, no, I was ready.
Close.
We were waiting for Dad. He was up there sampling treats.
Oh, it is Christmas time. And then one of the advantages of Christmas time is the treats that are there. And I got to actually say on the podcast, because I know my brother's going to be listening, thank you very much to my brother's family because they sent a bag of Christmas treats up my way with my parents who visited last night. So, yeah. And we enjoyed a nice cookie tonight.
Yeah,
Jay?
Right? Christmas cookies. That's awesome. Avery made a batch of cookies, and I had to have a bite. I wouldn't eat a whole cookie because I don't want to indulge.
Because I was yelling at him to get down here, but I guarantee you before he's out that door, that cookie's going to be gone.
I had a bite. It was good.
It's different when you split it up in two.
Is that what it is?
It's not different. It's not different when you split it up in two over 1 hour.
So when you take the tray of 8 and you break them all into 16, then you're okay because you'll eat half of them now and half of them before you go home.
You know what? That's really cool that Jay sent them treats up to you. That's cool.
Yeah. It's good.
And found a way to get them there to you, too.
I don't find that cool. You know, it'd be cool if Jay sent those treats this way.
Yeah, well, it's full of the stuff that you apparently don't eat anymore. So, although I did see your meal plan this week, and I know that we're jumping right into it here, but you must have been on the boxed meal plan thing again, which you haven't done for a while.
No, I wasn't. I just kept the recipes from the boxed meal plan. So Jen liked it so much that she went out and bought the ingredients. So when I came up from being down on the computer, I came up into the kitchen, and here's all the ingredients sitting on the counter with the meal plan from like the I don't know, recipe, I guess you want to call it, sitting there in front of it. So I'm like, oh, I guess we're doing this. So it was, if you keep those recipes out of your boxed meal plans, you can just redo it. You just go to the grocery store and buy what you need.
And our good friend Sandra had the best comment of them all.
What'd she say?
Socks go on your feet. I'm not sure if anybody saw the video of Todd, which he had on his head, but he had some.
It's like a hairnet. I'm in the kitchen.
Yeah. Socks go on your feet, she says.
It's one of those puffs that you pull down around your neck. It was just, It was on my head. It was on holding my hair up.
You look like a gnome, garden gnome.
Best darn good looking garden gnome this side. I don't know where garden gnomes from. I don't even know where they're from. Are they Swedish? Are they? I don't know. Are they Norwegian?
Mr. Don Millard, what did you get up to this week?
Oh, went shooting Wednesday night. And
did we now?
Yes, we did. And you know what? I hit a 24. And everybody was complaining that the targets were low.
Oh no! When it's my turn, I will let you know. Carry on.
Anyway, everybody's complaining that the targets were low.
Oh, yeah.
And Charlie was saying, oh, they're low. Todd's saying they're worm burners and all this stuff.
No. No, but that's, I'll get there. Carry on.
No, go ahead. Finish it off.
Well, okay. So we go out on the line. And so I had shot a practice when we first got there with the guys. And Dad and Bill didn't shoot a practice, but I went and shot a practice and did okay. But the wind was coming in our face. Normally at the gun club, it's coming from behind you, completely flipped around, was coming in our face. And so it's pitch black, but it's farm field. The gun club owns all the fields around the gun club that are farmed. So there's nothing. It is farm field. So that wind is whipping right across this cornfield and all the way up to the trap. And then when you yell pull and that sucker comes out the house, she stands right up. And so they were going sky high. So we shot that practice round and I think it was Charlie Cabin's like, you think those are high? And I think those are high. Those are freaking up there, man. It's like a tower shot in sporting clays. Yeah, like I'm getting whiplash. And I shoot a fairly high gun, right? So like 13 inches high at 30 yards. So I had to hold high and I was still getting them, but I'm like, that's way too high. He's like, all right, go lower it. So when I went in there, it's a pat trap, so it has teeth that you lift up the whole tray that all the target carousel is on, and then you move this arm with teeth on it forward or back to raise it. It was almost as low as it could go already. It only had like 4 teeth. I'm like, holy. So I moved it 2. And I said, well, and he's like, no, that looks good. I'm like, okay, good. So dropped her 2. All right. So I went in and then I was shooting on like what, Dad, squad 4, I think we were. Squad 4. So I didn't bother. Dad, they had a fire going. Bill brought hot dogs this week. So I went out and I was cooking some hot dogs. I wasn't really paying attention. I was bipping off, chirping everybody I could. As I do. And
that's unusual for you.
And right? And having a blast. And so now it's our turn to go out. So we go out and Charlie had said to me, you lowered it a couples. They lowered it even more. And I said, there wasn't much room to lower it. Like we were almost on the turf, like the teeth, there was only a couple teeth left. He's like, they lowered it more. I'm like, what? So we got on the line. And so squad leader, he says, all right, eyes front, let's see one, throws a target. And I mean, it was low. Charlie's like, that's low. I'm like, wow, is that low? So Charlie says,
the wind quit. The wind died down.
Charlie goes, you want them up? And somebody at that end, I thought it was lead off the whole time, goes, no, like that, like crazy, like scared me like a bear. No, I'm like, oh, wow, that guy really wants them low. Well, I don't care. See orange, shoot art. Well, let me tell you, Bill.
Let me make a correction here. We were 5 targets in before Charlie asked.
Yeah, maybe we were which you're technically not supposed to, but I mean, it's fun league. It's a league, but it's fun league. So
we had all shot 5 targets.
So I'm like, they were so low, Bill, that I'm holding so low on the house. Like I am like a foot and a half,
bottom lip,
like on the grass. And so I'm holding super low, and I've had to change my mindset because there's no more trap target timing. And okay, that's I hold my gun at this height because these targets are there, and now I still got my rhythm. I still have my timing. No, I had to treat it like sporting clays. Like they were burning straight because it still had the spring on it, but man, they were like rockets coming out of there and straight away from you, like just gone. And so I had to hold super low and put it out of my head that these are trap targets, and I shot them like they were sporting clay targets. So I ran out of 23, I dropped 2, and I shouldn't have, but I mean, I had to so hard concentrate, like so hard, because it was not like a normal where you could just go, okay, this is trap. I know. And poof, come in right? Here. Oh, did I have to concentrate? And I was not happy with that 23 because I tied for high gun last week. So this was my shoot off to win the money from last week, right? So they take your score from this week for the last week tie to see who you won. So I shot the 23, and then we went in, and Dad runs a 24, which lately, because his shoulder and everything else and the weight he's lost, hey, he's on cloud 9, especially at night and the wind. He shot a 24. He's pretty pumped. And so I said afterwards, man, I can't believe the squad leader. I said, Randy, I can't believe you won him. He says, that wasn't me. That was your dad. I'm like, what? Because Dad normally loves high targets. He's a hunter. He's older. It takes him forever. So the higher the target, the longer they float, the longer he can stay on it before he pulls the trigger, right? Oh, no, he's the one that yelled for it. And I was thinking, Dad's shooting fairly quick, but you don't have an option. Because, I mean, these things are in the dirt skipping across the ground before.
You're like rabbit targets.
Yeah, before you can even think about it. So I'm like, holy, he was shooting quicker.
Okay, now I'm going to take over.
Oh, good
Anyway,
grief.
the first 5 inked them. Like, man, just smoked them. And then when they said, you want them up? I mean, no.
No,
right there. I'm in a rhythm.
No, like it was holy.
And under the lights, you see those targets early.
I think 7 targets were throwing when he yelled no.
But those targets, you see them early under the lights, and you see them really good. And I was just moving, bang, and I moved too quick on one and didn't miss it, but
which was darn near impossible to move too quick.
Okay, now I go and put a 25 on there. I got a 49, right? So, but we're squad 4 now. Now there was a squad behind us, a part squad, because they had a record turnout, and with fire going, and it was cold. But we got the hot dogs.
Oh, it's because the wind was in your face. It wasn't bad except for that wind in your face.
Sandra joined us. She was cooking hot dogs with us. And Todd cooked one and then went inside. Nobody else would sit outside. No one sat by the fire. All that record turnout was inside.
Guys, I'm yelling. I walked in the guy and said, hey, we're about to start a round and we can't do it with only 3 people. So, like, let's go. Yeah. They're like, what kumbaya, pick your tune. Let's go.
Hey, you want a hot dog? No, thanks. Want a hot dog? No, thanks. Nobody would come.
Yeah, take a hit, Dad.
For the most part, Todd came back and got a second one. But as soon as he got it cooked, he was gone again. So it was just the 3 of us sitting around the fires, but we had to wait for the squad behind us, then squad 1, then squad 2, then squad 3, and then we went out again. So, okay, let's go and shoot our second round. And I thought, what the heck is going on with...
Pause, because right before we went out, Charlie came over to me. He's like, hey, I don't know if you want to tell your dad or not, but I raised it a couple teeth.
Yeah, nobody told me.
And I'm like,
nobody told me. So I'm still holding a low gun. I'm moving, I'm shooting, and I shoot a 17.
I thought, I don't want to tell him.
And they wait until I'm completely finished before.
I don't want to ruin his thought process.
You waited until he was done to tell him, oh, by the way.
Yeah. And at the end, he said, I said, I can't believe I have put a 17 up against a 24. He says, well, I didn't tell you. They lowered the targets.
No, raised them. They raised the targets.
Yeah. Well, I get that. You know, those are frustrating times. We shot this weekend too. At
ask me what I shot, Bill.
Oh,
we don't want to.
He doesn't.
Let me tell it, because he doesn't want to sound cocky or arrogant.
Don't steal my line. Don't steal my line.
Where did you shoot, Todd?
So I backed that 23 up with a 25. Once they got normal targets again, I was just dead center. It was awesome. Not to sound arrogant or cocky or anything, but I won last week's shoot off, and then I tied Charlie for high gun this week. So now I'm in a shoot off come next Wednesday.
Yep, tomorrow night.
Well, very good. So you're and for the season so far.
Well, if you looked at the league standings, I'm in the lead, but they don't do that week to week to week. No. It's just each night. So, which is good. It's good. I'm happy. I'm pumped.
Yeah,
I won last week.
So I've got something new lined up for tomorrow night. Todd says that I'm taking the bottom. I'm taking dust off the bottom.
Well, you can see it. I don't know how he can't see it.
Shooting quicker under the lights.
The targets are AA. They're white flyers. They're Winchester white flyer targets, but they're the biodegradable ones. And so they are powder puff. I mean, when you hit them, they puff really nicely. Under the lights, you can really see it because it's just black sky, orange target coming out. Those lights just light it up. And when you hit it, it's just, you're dead center. I mean, it is. And it just builds more confidence and more confidence. It's the best freaking thing you can do is shoot under the lights with those targets. So when you do dust one, like I had one in that first 25 in my practice, when I pulled the trigger, I thought I smoked it because it was just poof, and it was so windy that poof of target dust just went whoosh, to the left of me. And then I seen one going down, and Charlie was shooting beside me, and he says, "Did you see the amount of dust you pulled?" I said, I figured it was a straightaway. I figured I smoked it because from out from behind my barrel comes this giant cloud of dust to the left. And then there's a whole target going. So you can really see where you miss. And I can see Dad's pulling dust off the bottom like crazy. I said, raise your freaking comb. We got to.
My long-barreled, unsingle Winchester 101 does not have any adjustment. It's a fixed comb. There's no adjustment to the comb, and it's a fixed figure 8. And I've shot it for years, and I shoot it extremely well. I know where it hits. So anyway, under the lights.
But you've lost 100 pounds.
And my shoulder's not working like it used to, and I am pulling the gun more with the right arm, and I'm shooting quicker. And you see them quicker. So I thought, okay, if I'm going to play around, it's Wednesday night under the lights. So I've switched for tomorrow night to my Winchester 101 over and under, which I can put a modified choke in because it does have choke tubes. And the comb is adjustable. So I raised it another O-ring to give me a little more height. And that's the gun I'm going to shoot tomorrow night. See if I can make a difference. So we'll see what happens.
That's good. Yeah, we'll see what happens. You can see what happens on practice night, and hopefully it works out for you, and you're breaking the 23, 24 numbers again, and not the 17s. So
that's right. Yeah. No, I did okay in the interclubs with the singles. It's the handicap that's killing me in the interclubs, but I am doing the singles very well in the handicap or in the interclubs. And anyway, we'll see what happens.
So you were saying, Bill, I know went to a gun club.
Yeah, we went to our inter club, inter county, is what they call it, in Hamilton this weekend, and we had to play catch up a little bit.
I was going to say, so to prelude this, in the winter, 50 targets. I'm good. It's freaking cold. If you're on the line for 50, 25, go back, grab some more shells, go back, we do 25 singles at the 16 yards and then 25 handicap, whatever your handicap is.
You do them back to back?
Back to back.
Yeah.
And so you're on the line for 50 targets, right? Now, the Wednesday night under the lights, you do 25, you go back inside or sit by the fire, have hot dogs, you wait for all the other squads, and then you go back and you do it again. So that's okay. But you guys... That's nuts. It's freaking cold for what you guys do.
It was cold. I mean, and you know what? I dress appropriately, and Candace learned a few lessons this weekend.
Which sucks because the more clothes you put on, the warmer you are, the comfier you are, but the gun doesn't fit.
Right. Well, she was getting frustrated too because so for our inter county we shoot 100. We shoot 100 and they're back to back to back to back, and
like you don't go inside or anything. You shoot a solid 25, grab a box, 25, grab a box, 25, grab a box, 25. So you're out on the line for 45 minutes to an hour, depending how fast your squad is.
Basically, I mean, the first 50, and then we'll get off the line because they'll reload the trap house. But while they're doing that, we don't go inside. There's no fires. There's no electric heaters or nothing. You're cold.
I'd be rolling a barrel in.
Yeah, well, I made the recommendation. We should probably have a barrel like you guys do there and put some fire on it.
Well, I even said, let's adopt Olympic trap or bunker trap, the Olympic trap style, where we have 6 people do a squad, 1 target per, and you can have a barrel burning right there in the middle. So when you're the 6th guy waiting for you can stand near the fire and then go back out and roll through them. You
wait. Yeah, I like that. That's a great idea. We had heat pockets in heat pads in our pockets and the gloves. But Candace, you know what? She's a trooper in herself. I had my long johns. I had quilted pants that I think my brother got me for Christmas a couple years back. They're awesome. I didn't put my snow pants on. I was going to do that, but I said, forget it. I got enough layers on. On top, I had my Under Armour, like a wicking shirt that I have as a base layer, a shirt underneath on top of that, and then another, I had 4 layers up top. I was warm enough. And Candace did not have long johns on, just wore jeans. Candace. And I said, "What are you doing?" And because we had to shoot 100,
it's
and
winter.
Then we had to shoot
Canada.
Another 100 to make up for a couple weeks ago when we were somewhere. I don't know what was going on. Maybe it was something was going on. Anyways, so we had to make up another 100.
It was probably the night that you guys went out to make candles together, or was it that, or was it your knitting class that you do? don't remember. You missed it for one of those.
Yeah, we missed it for one of those there.
Okay, I was going to go easy on him tonight, but you know what? He's changing my mind real quick.
Yeah, real quick. I think we need to flip a switch here.
Yeah. I was going to lay off because it's close to Christmas and I am happy, but you know what?
I just figured he couldn't think of anything, so now
he's pushing my buttons now.
Yeah, those buttons are pushed. But we for the first 100, you know, I shot an 82 for the first 100. It was not bad. I had a couple good rounds, a couple not so good rounds. I mean, Candace, her first round out of 100, I think she shot 22, which, you know, she's coming along. Yeah, and the more she shot, unfortunately, the colder she got. The colder she got, the more layers she put on, like a jacket. The more jacket she put on, the gun didn't fit. Yeah. Now she's getting frustrated on top of frustration. And I'm just super happy with her that she stuck with it and she didn't kill anybody, because in the second 100, we shot with 3 guys that they were relatively new shooters. And we just wanted to get through the 100 targets. So after the first 50 targets, they filled the machines up, and Candace and I are waiting on the lines with our shells in our pockets, and these guys are nowhere to be found. All these 3 guys,
they gave up. They went home.
They went into the clubhouse to warm up. in between
really,
rounds.
Bill, who's the smart one out of this?
Yeah.
If you could get away with it, I'm just saying.
Well, I'm surprised they did, because Candace was just about at her limit right there. And then these 3 guys go into the clubhouse to warm up, and I thought she was going to blow up. But between awesome. The first 100 and the second 100, I had a little text message with my coach, and my coach told me to slow down on mounting the gun and make sure it was right before you yell pull. And for my first 25 of my second 100, I broke a 24.
Oh, you're getting close.
Yeah, and I dropped the second target out, and I ran the rest.
Oh, wow!
So, and good hits,
you know,
good hits,
and they were smoke balls.
Awesome.
And then I don't want to tell you what I followed it up with, but I didn't have the pep talk between the first round and the second round, and I don't know what changed, but I didn't follow it up with a good score in the second. But
and you know, you talking about layers, and your wife was adding layers of jackets and stuff. I forgot to tell you too, my over and under, my 101 over and under, it's adjustable. The stock is adjustable for length of pull. So I cranked that in. I shortened it right up because I knew that this week's going to be colder and I'll be putting out more clothes.
I shortened mine.
Yeah.
So
back
I did
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But just for the more clothes. So the first time I realized that, I think I told you this over the text message. I think I went on like a rant, didn't I?
Probably. That sounds about right.
You don't remember? You just read the first line. Slow down. Okay. but
I didn't tell anybody who my coach was. What are you assuming it was you?
Well, I remember texting somebody.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be called the coach. That's not cool. So when crap goes bad, don't blame me. So, yeah. but I remember when it first clicked for me like that, like my first, one of my best scores, like the first time I shot a good score, we were at an ATA shoot in St. Thomas, right? Like a huge one, 150, 200 shooters. I don't know. It's usually got the largest on the long weekends, but we got wind of a trap shoot at the Elmer Gun Club, which has got like 2 traps at the time. Now they've only got 1, but it had 2 traps at the time. It wasn't really known as a trap club. They didn't have it all regulation, so they couldn't be part of our inner club. They can't do anything like that because it's just, they threw it in and good to go. And so I heard that the National Wild Turkey Federation was going to have a shoot, and they were giving away a gun. I was told it was a Browning BPS, so I went. Well, I wanted that gun so bad. Like, this is the best prize that we've ever had. I mean, you shoot, you win a flat of shells or something like that at our shoot, at an ATA shoot here. Now this is an $800 pump shotgun. I am all over this sucker. So I was like, that's it. I'm going to, and it clicked and I had watched some of the better shooters at the time. Like, we're going back 20 plus years. And I watched some of the better shooters that some guys, they'd have a rhythm, and they talk about rhythms in their squads and don't break the rhythm. And I know guys that they always squat up on the same. And one guy will say, if you drop a target, you don't Don't think about it. You don't care anymore. You're just putting the gun up for the buddy beside you going to run the 100 to make sure that you keep the rhythm going. Don't interrupt the rhythm. Just keep rocking. So, okay, that's them. But I watch the really good shooters, and I watch them noticeably take longer than others on their squad and not care about the rhythm. And I'm like, he's taken, and I mean, it's not forever, but it's probably a second longer than anybody else on the squad, but he's blowing them up. And that was in my head when I went down there. And so I ended up shooting a 99. And I mean, I was taking my time, noticeably taking my time before I yelled pull. And so that's when it finally clicked. So that's what I was saying to you, because I know I've shot with you and we got a rhythm going and everything like that. Yeah. But when it clicks for me and I'm actually wanting to shoot, and I shared with you that for the last couple of years, I'd go shoot and I want to shoot, but it's not like a driving force.
It's not a passion, right? Yeah, it's not the same.
It's not been a passion. It's just been like, yeah, go hang. I go there for the social time and the fun, and shooting's the byproduct. And just in the last couple months now, my stock now fit, and I'm ink balling targets. It's coming back to like 15 years ago before I quit and went bull riding, all that fun stuff. It's coming back to that where it's all I'm thinking about, and the passion's back and I want it. So now I'm back to concentrating. I'm back to taking, and I physically take my time. And that's when I'm ink balling targets. And that's just what I said to you, right?
To me, that's exactly what you need. You need to have a consistent rhythm for you, not a consistent rhythm for anybody else, but that bringing the gun to the same location every single time, being convinced that you're ready to call for that bird. And I know that there was definitely a dozen, throughout the 200 where it wasn't even close when I pulled the trigger on that bird, not even close to it.
Yeah.
And it's those ones there that are frustrating to me, because I'd run 5 straight. And then, I ran one of my rounds, I ran 10 straight for the first two stations, and I broke a 2 on station 5. I'm like, how does that even? And then I would follow it up on station 1 with a 4 or something. And I'm like, how do you lose concentration for an entire station where you go from great to now you have a terrible round?
Well, and see, and I've had it where I'll go out and I'll shoot a really good score, not thinking about it, don't care, go out there and pound them, and it just. You're in a rhythm and you're just throwing the gun up and going. That's one caveat. It works. But to be consistent, you can't do it because your mind starts to wander. Like, what am I going to have for supper? The minute you do that, when you yell pull, and you're right before you yelled pull, you think you're ready. And then you realize after you lost that target, I wasn't really ready, but you thought you were. And so, exactly. So when you're in that,
the gun didn't feel right on your shoulder, but you called pull anyways. Right? It didn't feel right on your face or something.
You're not in the, and even then even when the gun does and you put it up and everything, but you're not concentrating enough. You're thinking about something else. And even Charlie said it there on last Wednesday. He says a newer shooter was going to the line and said something, and he's like, it's 99% mental. I said, it's exactly it. If you know how to mount a gun and swing the gun, the rest is mental. The rest is in your head, right? It's letting your subconscious take over, but it's being ready. And so you can do it, but can you do it consistently, being blank and just like, don't care, go? I don't think so. So on the flip side of that, how do you get consistent and do it? Well, when you mount the gun, you put it up and you're ready to go. You don't yell pull till your mind is ready to see a target. And all you're thinking about is, I'm going to smash this target. And I mean, not what's for supper. I wonder what that person, my phone just binged. I wonder who texted him. None of that. And even though you think you're ready, you realize you're not. If you stop, and for me, I am noticeably slower, I thought, than others. And I said to him, you guys know, am I slowing you down? They said, we don't even know. So for me, that's how slow time just slows right down for me, because I'm concentrating that hard. And that's what it takes to be consistent. And I still don't have a handle on it, but I know. That's when I shoot my good scores. That's when I've ran my hundreds. That's when I've won stuff. When I slow it right down, and others are like, "No, Todd, we don't even notice." And it's not pulling the trigger slower; it's calling pull slower.
And I can do that for 25, but I have struggled doing that for 100 or 50.
That's where it comes.
And Saturday when I was doing 200, after the first 100, I had a break for like 45 minutes or an hour. It was a long enough break that I'm struggling to get mentally back into it. And then when I stepped to the line for the first shot of the I flipped the switch, and I for those 25 shots, I was noticeably slower. In my mind, I was concentrating, and then after that, it just was like, it just went away. So now it's in my mind. It's the mental side of it is trying to string those.
Oh, it's every time
the round over round concentration.
Every time
together,
when you
right?
put that gun up and then you mount it, check, mount's good. Yep, beads lined up, looking out there for the target. Don't yell pull. Are you ready? Nothing but target. Pull. Literally, like that's it. And it seems like that it's forever, but nobody really noticed it. I mean, and I asked, I even did it on the Sunday leagues, like our big leagues, 130 shooters. And I asked my squad mates there and they said, nope, no, I didn't even notice, Todd. No different than normally shooting with you. All right. Well, we're good to go then.
Good to go. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm getting the passion back. I'm thinking about it all the time. So I'm pretty pumped.
And I'm getting there too, from a passion side, because I want to get it to a point where I got an 84 average right now, which for me, I'm not complaining too much, but 84 to 90 is not very far, and I want 90 plus. And that's where I want to be, for
you sound like
shooter.
bull riding again, Bill. See, and I'm thinking
you're nothing, man.
You need, that's right. You conquered that. I don't see why you're not going to conquer. You can't be happy with 84. That's like push the re-ride button, brother. So you top in Ontario bull riding, top 5 in Canada. You need to get there now and shooting. Done deal.
That's it. That's where I'm at. And that's where I'm not going to be satisfied till I get there. And I said to Candace, at this target I'm looking at here for the wall chart and stuff, it's not that for me yet. It's the consistent mount. I think if I did 25 mounts of the gun, consistent, and then snap as if it was a straightaway or something. Forget it. It doesn't matter. I'm not worried about swing right now. It's the consistent pre-shot routine that I need to get first, because I think the rest of the stuff will come after that.
See, it's all it is for me is making sure I'm ready to yell pull. When I can lock my brain in and be like, all I care about is inking this target. Let's go. And it's tough to do that. You're right. For a 25 piece cake, to do it for 100. It's tough to do it for 100 in a row, 200 in a row, because you've got a lock. But once you figure it out, it starts to get more routine, right? You can lock your brain in. Okay, I'm thinking about my turn. Mount the gun, put it up. All right, I'm ready. Target. Let's go. Pull. So, yeah. Anywho.
All right. Well, there you go. So that was that. I think we should probably change tunes a little bit here.
I think we should, because I got more to talk about on other topics.
You're not out of words yet?
No, and I'm drinking water. I am. My mouth is wet. I'm ready to rock.
Okay. Well, Don, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Oh, his ears are in. All he needs to do is listen.
No. I'm first because this is Thursday.
What?
We already covered up to
Maybe
Wednesday.
Bill
We saw
goes first.
nothing on Wednesday. Okay, Bill, go first.
I don't think there's much to talk about, because we covered Wednesday pretty good. I don't know. I think we covered the meal even on Wednesday night, where we did the tenderloin on that Weber charcoal barbecue, and I think Thursday is where we need to pick up. And we didn't have nearly as an exciting Thursday as you do. So maybe you guys tell a little bit of your story, and I'll tell you how Thursday went for us.
Thursday was the last day for us, and
it was the last day for you guys.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, but it started with me. We got in early. We got in really early, like that. Where the blind is situated, and the routine we had of getting up and walking straight in, and just up the ladder and sit down with everything in there. We were in there a good 45 minutes before light, so we were in there really early. And because we were in the woods, we were 10 yards into the woods, and because we were closed in, the light doesn't get in there as quick as it's nowhere near as quick as it does when you're just sitting out in the open field on the edge of the woods.
Has nothing to do with age, eyesight, or
nothing at all.
It does,
the fact that they're probably sleeping before the sun comes up, and then they open their eyes and they're groggy, and it's coming. It's 9:00 in the morning, but it's just getting light for them.
My eyes were dimmer. They are dimmer, but we never even got to breakfast time, and it was just getting light, and I was getting to the point where I was starting to look out into the field. I could see out into the field.
For everybody listening, breakfast time for him is 8:00 in the morning.
But it's not even breakfast time. It's getting light, and I can. Oh, it's soon good. It's getting lighter, and so anyway, I just happened to look out into the field, and here's a big doe standing out in the field. So I'm about 15, 20 yards, maybe not even 15, from the edge of the field. I'm about 15 yards, Todd, that area, maybe not even that.
Yeah, no, you're 15, I would
from
think.
The edge of the field. But now this is Thursday because we've thinned it out. We already told you that we took lunch and then I thinned out all the leaves and the trees.
We trimmed down, yeah. We had a lunchtime.
So
we went along and clipped a whack load of branches off all the way along.
About between 70 and 80, there's a big doe between 70 and 80 yards standing in that field. She's big. And then, now the pictures I sent to you, the ones, the after pictures when it's cleared out, and the arrow in the picture off to the left, further out, that's where that doe was standing, right at the top of where you come out from the hogback, and that's about 50 yards.
So for those that didn't get the picture, that's at the top of the ravine, right on the edge of the woods, 50 yards from the blind, in the field.
In the field, right on the edge, right on the edge of the ragweed, right where they step in.
And it's about a 100-yard drop ravine.
Yeah.
No, 100-foot drop.
Her head is down. She's eating corn. And I thought, okay, they look pretty much the same size. And I'm going to take the one on the left because she's closer. And she's quartering away. She's kind of facing me, but quartering to the left, head down eating corn. And I said to Bill, 2 deer in the field, Bill. And I brought the gun up. I lined up. I went from her head, up her neck, to where the body was. Kawoom! And then the inside of that thing just filled up with smoke. This time was really bad. I don't even know if I had the gun barrel all the way out the window, but it filled up with smoke. And I'm waving the smoke.
Smoke alarm goes off on the inside.
I'm waving the smoke away, and between where that deer was standing and the other deer, there is still a limb that comes down and blocked the field where the view of to the field between those 2 deer. And then out from behind that limb, going to the right, away from the hogback, another doe ran out and stood looking in to where I just shot between me and the deer that was out there 80 yards that never moved.
See, because let me tell you, and they just stand there and stare at you. They even did it on the Tuesday when I was in the blind with them. They hear the sound and they're so curious. They have no clue where it's coming from because there's no movement. They're inside this box blind, 10 feet in the air. That's not really high in the air, right? But the deer, they can't see. They just know the boom came and they're looking. What's going on? Because they don't see danger. They're not smelling danger. It's insane how they just stand there staring at you forever. Anyway,
it is kind of crazy because they have no concept of what's going on.
Yeah,
and there's the noise of a gunshot, and they just can't pick the direction of it. I guess
it makes them stare longer. Like it's like, what's going? What? Huh? What's going on? Where'd that come from?
So anyway, this deer is running to the right. The deer is no longer standing where I shot at it, and so the impression was, this is the deer I just shot at. And it's just run right out and stood right in front of me where I can see it plain between me and the next deer. And I thought, did I hit it or I didn't hit it? And it's just
you thought you
there.
missed.
Yeah, I think, did I hit it? Like, is that the deer that ran in? Like, and so anyway, I found out later that Bill didn't hear me. And when the gun went off, he pretty nearly turned inside out. He said, holy moly, that gun went off next to my ear. He says, and you scared the liver out of me. I pretty near come out of the chair. Well, anyway, I knew that he couldn't move and get up. And I said to him, there's another deer standing there. Can you see him? He says, no. I said, give me your gun. So he handed me his gun. I lined up on that deer that had just run out, figuring it's the same deer. And I lined up the crosshairs on her shoulder, and I pulled the trigger, and she still just stood there. Never moved, never flinched, never did nothing. The 2 of them just stood there. And now we're both empty. I handed him his gun back. I said, here, you got to reload. And then I grabbed my reloader off the table and realized that it was too dark in there for me to see which one of the tubes had the powder and the shot in it. So I had to pull them out of that, the red holder, and then shake them. Oh, okay, this one's got powder and a bullet in it. So I put my thumb over the end of the barrel so I could find the hole, and I brought the loader up, and I tipped it so the bullet would slide down into the barrel, or the powder would slide into the barrel, and then the bullet would come out and sit there. Well, the bullet didn't sit there. It fell. And then I realized, did the powder even go in? So I had to grab the flashlight and look. Sure enough, there's one of the powder charges on the floor and the bullet on the floor. And so I dumped the gun to make sure the second one did go in there. And it did. It came out. And so by this time, when I straightened the gun back up, there's the two deer turn, and they trot side by side.
They waited there all that time.
And you got to think of how non-quiet that would have been.
No, I'm telling you. And then they trotted away, directly away.
How many down
the edge of the field. They stopped. They turned and looked back again. And then they just trotted to the edge of the ravine, through the ragweed, and down over the side.
And that whole thing, I can picture it's rocking, banging walls.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot believe those deer stood there that whole time.
Yeah, the whole time.
I'm telling you, it makes them curious. You could play the drums in that thing. I think it'd bring them in.
So by the time I found everything on the floor, got the gun reloaded, my phone is, well, was that you? Well, it wasn't Todd. I think it was Michael. Well, and so anyway, I said, that was me. I shot at a deer. Have no idea. The smoke blinded me.
Full stop. That's all.
Yeah, have no idea. So we just waited.
Yeah. Okay, my turn now.
Well, let me get Rick in here, because it wasn't a half hour later, and so I know to sit and wait, because eventually Todd will come over, and then getting ready for lunch, and then we'll go do the look and all the rest. But I am
sit and
really
wait, because they don't want to find it. Because if they find it, they got to gut it and drag it.
I have a hard time with this, by the way. I listen to your stories about deer hunting, and I don't understand why you guys don't go look for a deer when you shoot it.
Well, because there could be more coming.
Oh yeah.
When we in the camp, we make it an event. When we shoot a deer, we go look for the deer.
No, we have a set time. No. So it's like the optimal times that they move is up to like 11:30. So now with this year, the time change, normally 10:30. Around 10:30, quarter to 11, when the time changes happens normally, as we've talked, this was abnormal year. But then, okay, pretty much the morning move is done. They've all hit the bedding area somewhere. Now we'll get down. But you don't want to ruin it when there's deer everywhere. And I mean, the spot we're in, there is deer everywhere. So
I know, I just don't understand.
We make it a thing that we shoot and shoot and shoot, and then we'll go look. Now, if we shot enough that, okay, I think we're out of tags. Okay, but now we better go look.
Besides that, if you don't know how hard you hit the deer, you don't want to push them. You don't want to push them across the creek. You don't want to push them.
That side of it I get. But when we, if we take a shot, the cell phone, the wells come across the cell phones, and we're like, yeah, I hit the deer. Deer didn't go down. I'm going to go down and look for blood. Come on, join me, and then we can find it together.
No, we don't move until it's ready for lunchtime, because you never know how many more deer are going to move.
It'll eat you alive. Scotty moves. I'll tell Scotty, you sit in that freaking stand. Oh no, he'll go look.
Yeah. But either way, it's a half hour later. We're not even 45 minutes, and Rick is down below. He came back to the stand that he just put in this year, on the other side of the hogback, down the bottom, away from me. And I hear this ha-wom, and Bill and I both look at each other, and I said, that sounded like Rick. So you patiently wait for the text to come through, and pretty soon the phone lights up, and it's Rick, and he says, I just shot a big doe on my side of the creek, and she's laying where I can see her. Okay, good. It's down. He can see it. We'll sit tight till lunch. So now we got 2 down.
My turn?
Yeah. So now we're at 4 deer.
4 deer.
And we got 2 to go.
So I'm sitting in my
Well,
safe.
we think we got 4 deer. Because let's say we shot at 4 deer. because I'm still thinking that deer was the one that ran in. Oh, and I missed, right? Okay.
So I'm sitting on my ledge that I've talked about last podcast or the podcast for the last podcast, not in my tree stands. I'm loving this ledge now. I'm overlooking this ravine. I'm probably, 80 feet up in the air, looking over the creek. And then on the other side of the creek is the massive deer run. Nobody goes over there. So it's untouched except for me on opening day when I shot a buck and it on that side and it ran, 80 yards and crashed and I had to go get it. So I'm sitting there and I have a doe. I can see her coming and I'm like, she's coming. And I think I talked about, now there is 2 fawns with her. Okay. So I'm not going to shoot. I've been throwing lead this week like you would not believe. And that's a long shot. It's probably 120 through the brush. I'd have taken the shot. But it's got 2 fawns. So I let her go. I message them, hey, I just had a doe go by. Well, then I have another doe go the other way, but that one's too far. So I messaged Dad in between all of this going on. Hey, Dad, there's another doe coming your way, yada, yada, yada. Well, in that amount of time, I'm just chilling. And all of a sudden, to my left, a doe is coming down along the edge of this creek, but not on any path. It is high stepping like a football player through the thickest junk you could imagine. And I'm watching this because it doesn't know I'm there. And I'm thinking, what is this thing? It looks like a spider coming in. I hate spiders. They're not normal. 8 eyes, 8 legs. It's just not right. So this thing's coming through and it's freaking me out because it's high stepping through the thickest brush on the planet. It's not scared. It's not looking around and sniffing and stuff. Why is it taking this hard path through this crap right on the edge of the creek? But here it comes. So it comes all the way and it goes right to where I shot my buck on opening morning on Monday morning. I dragged that buck to the creek. I gutted it in the creek, threw the guts in the creek, like I was in the creek. And then we pulled it up with the 4-wheeler up to our side and up the edge of the ravine with the winch. So it comes right down. Well, next thing I know, it stops dead. And I'm like, it's facing me head on. It's probably 100 yards. And I'm going, why did you stop? I'm looking. There's no other fawns with it. There's nothing. It's a single doe. I am comfortable to shoot this. And why did it stop head on? And so it starts sniffing right where I gutted that buck. And I'll be darned if all of a sudden it doesn't 4-foot jump and run right around that spot fast. And I'm like, it's going to take off. And then it stops. And then it gingerly walks back down towards, it just got by where I gutted it and comes down that creek edge where, Bill, I missed that doe on Monday morning that I talked about. And I messaged you and said, yeah. I think I shot over, long shot. I think I shot over. And
you took 2 shots at that deer, to be honest with you.
No, one, I was about, I did because it turned and ran.
You did take 2 shots at it.
So, yeah, I think I put it past it, hit a rock, which scared it towards me. And then it pinned me and I couldn't get up. And I jumped up and I was ready. And as it turned and took off, I pulled the trigger, but I let it to the left too much. It did a 180 on a dime, and I thought it would run more sideways. So I shot along beside it. So that doe took off. Could have been the same doe. So,
it's
so
getting
now
a little bit comfortable with you now because it knows you can't hit.
Maybe because I probably could have shot at it on Tuesday a few times too, with all the deer running through there. So it's standing now right on the edge of the creek, nothing between us. I think it was like when I finally ranged it, it was like 60 yards. I don't know how. Well, I do know how. I missed the first one. I think I said it. My ramrod was sticking out the end of my barrel, way out.
Yeah.
And so I think that threw my shot. So this time I remembered, take your ramrod out. So there it is, standing on the edge of the creek, nothing between us. I put it on there, line up. I don't hesitate, pull the trigger. Darn thing drops on the spot, onto the ground. Done. Well, holy crap. I don't even have to track this thing. It's
That's
down.
Easy track job.
That's
right
beautiful.
There.
So I'm pumped. I'm like, yep, I got a doe down. Woo woo. So that's 2 for Todd. Not that I'm going to sound cocky or arrogant or anything. So anyway, so then Dad, so now it gets to be 11:30, which normally would be 10:30. And then Dad says, okay, what are we doing? I said, well, mine's down. I can see it. And we got to get the 4-wheeler down. I got to go gut it in the creek again. We got to get the 4-wheeler down and get the winch halfway down here, hook it on it, drag it up. So mine isn't going anywhere. I'll come look and see if I can find blood because Dad can't see red.
Can't see red on green. I can see the color red, but I found in high school, I think I said this before, we took a test in science class, colors on colors.
I think it's the
red on green.
I think it's because I'm like, well, then how do you see stoplights? Oh, I can see red light. I think it's just I don't want to have to.
How do you enjoy Christmas so much with not being able to see red and green?
Yeah, I can see color. I used to say I'm not colorblind.
What it is I don't want to track deer.
No, I cannot see. I cannot see the blood on leaves and stuff. I just doesn't.
You know what? We got a guy at our hunt camp. The exact same thing. My dad would take a leaf that had blood on it to show him, and he could not see it.
No, it's a good excuse. I love it. Can't track deer.
So anyway, I showed him where the deer had been standing.
So I went over and I met him, and Dad comes down.
Here's where you're standing, right here. And he's looking around, and he said, "I don't see any blood."
So here's the problem. Okay, that's where it is. Where he shot it, I can see the hoof marks. I can see where it turned and ran, and it booked it back towards the hog's back into the ravine. Here's the issue. Dad shot a deer there Tuesday. Same spot.
No, he wasn't standing there, but that's where he ran in.
So I'm now, I found blood. Problem, the deer he shot Tuesday was leaking so much. There is so much blood through all of that ragweed and then all the way down the center of the hog back and then where it died and fell down what we call the hog's back and dropped 80 feet to the bottom. It just left blood. Am I seeing the blood from Tuesday? Because it's Thursday. Or is this new blood? Because he shot it at like 8 o'clock in the morning, 7:45. So the blood probably has dried. And now you can't tell if it's blood from Tuesday or blood from Thursday.
You could if you went to track it right away.
So I get to where I saw it. And that's what I said. I got blood, but is it the blood from yesterday? So I follow it. Well, wait a minute now. That's where the deer died there. And there's more blood going this way. I found a little drop on a leaf. And I'm like, what?
And enough to let you know which direction it went.
One drop past where Dad's first doe went down.
Because let me fill you in.
There you go.
Todd says, well, do we go in and look? I said, well, we got to go in and look because I was sitting there for over 2 hours.
I'm pretty sure I didn't
over
ask.
3 hours thinking, was there 2 deer or 3 deer? And when I shot at the one I could see, the other one I could see in the field. And then after the smoke cleared, a deer ran out from behind the limbs of trees that were up in the air that I was looking down out in front of that farthest one. Was that a third deer that I didn't even see was there because that limb was blocking me? So I'm sitting there thinking, I got hope against hope. That's a third deer. That one I shot at with Bill's gun and completely missed. How, I have no idea. It wasn't sighted in for me or something.
Well, clearly.
But it just, it was shootable and clearly missed. And yet, okay, was that the one I shot at and the one that went left? Did he go left? And that was a third one that came right. And I'm sitting there, hope against hope. So when Todd found those 2, he found a drop of blood and then he found another one. I thought, oh, good grief. There was 3 deer. We are tracking the one I shot at. He did run in and I just didn't see him.
So I then track, it runs all the way down the center of this hog's back. Now we call it the hog's back because it's the ravine on both sides, and it's like the hip of the ravine. It's like a finger that goes gradually all the way down to the bottom, right? So same ravine, it's just divided by this gradual finger that drops down like a hog's back, and it's over the years it's washed away, and it is pretty touchy to walk in some spots. Like the trees have completely fallen down into the creek 80 feet down because it's washed away. In other spots, the roots are the only thing holding the dirt there. So it's pretty touch and go walking down this thing, but I'm following blood, holding on to trees and swinging around them and making sure my footing's good, but I'm following blood. Well, then I start to find a lot of blood and then a lot of blood where it stood. And I'm thinking, holy jumping, there's enough blood here. And let me tell you, Bill, where I don't know why every time Dad shoots one there, why won't they run to the truck? This thing ran the exact every freaking time. The big buck that's on his wall did this exact same thing. The deer he shot 2 years ago there did the exact same. Runs right down the center of the hog's back all the way to the bottom, and that's where it dies. Yeah. And so sure enough, I find it laying there.
That's what happens. They don't take the path of ease for you. You just put a hole in it, but I don't understand why.
So
now when we get it up,
hold on. So I think when I get down there and I look at this and I'm thinking, okay, where the heck did he shoot? Where's the blood coming from? Because there's no hole in this thing. And it's slid and leaves and crap down there because it slid halfway down the hog's back when it got to the very end of it. And I'm like, where the heck? And so I know he's going to say that he had plans. You had offered to tan a deer hide for him. And so when I get there, I realize he shot this darn thing right through the neck.
Before you pulled the trigger, you thought, hey, I can get this hide tanned.
Yeah. Bill offered, that's a really nice colored deer right there.
It's a beautiful colored deer.
Bill offered to tan it. Give me a second to line up on it. I'm going to take out, what is that vein coming from the aorta? And it comes up through, I think that's about the spot. Yeah, right there. Yeah, sure. That's what he's going to tell you. But he shot it through the freaking neck. And I can't believe that thing made it that far. Dropping that much blood.
Me neither.
Shooting through the neck. You normally,
typically shoot one in the neck. They drop like a stone.
Down. And mine, I knew that you offered to tan my deer hide as well. And so that's why when I shot mine and it dropped on the spot, I shot mine through the neck.
Yeah, well, that explains a lot, though. I mean, eventually when I get to tan that deer hide, I put it away and I said, there's burrs all over this thing. On the hide, I said, there's little wee tiny burrs as if it was walking through.
Oh, it was walking through some crap.
Yeah, well, and I said, eventually when I get to this hide, I'm going to have to take a comb.
I would appreciate that. If you can condition it. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I'd like it silky smooth.
Yeah. We'll see what time allows in the new year, but I tell you. I looked at it when I put it away and I said, there's little wee black. I said, these aren't like, the ones the ticks or something on there. No, they weren't ticks. They were little burrs
little hitchhikers.
all over this deer.
Little black double-pronged hitchhikers.
That's all they were. They looked like peppercorns all over this thing.
Yeah, we got them bad in there.
It came through some crap, man. I could not believe that doe was doing that. But anyway, so we dragged that. We.
You know what the interesting thing is, and I just want to touch on this for a second. Todd had this vision for about 10 seconds of tanning his own hide.
Yes.
Wait.
Well, let me tell you, because when we got him, I said to the guys.
I wasn't going to bring that. I said you offered, but I knew you didn't.
Okay. So I'm gonna jump ahead here because Todd's got more story up. But
I got the best story. I got the anticipation story from last week.
Let me finish my tan hide story. Anyway, we got him hanging up. And I said, this is the hide. Look at this thing. It's beautiful. And a little hole through the neck, like low on the neck too.
A little, it was.
And
it was.
And so anyway, I start to skin it, and I'm taking my time. And Rick's got one done, and Michael's halfway through one.
Who started to skin it?
I started to skin the one I was going to get. And I was so slow and taking such a slow time. Rick says, you're going to be here all day. I said, well, this is the one I'm getting tan. I don't want to nick it. I don't want to cut it. I don't know how good it's got to be. I want to do this. Finally, they told me to go sit down, and they finished.
Much like I can't see red.
And so they said, I said, telling them, be careful, easy there. Like make sure you get enough of the leg left on there and so on and so forth. But they skinned it out beautiful. And then I took it out and laid it in the laneway. And then I cut off all the fat, and I cut off as much of the silver skin. Todd, I
was on my hands and knees with him standing over me, dumping salt in spots.
Before I got finished, Todd came out with the hide that he wanted to send. And so he took over, and he started cutting the fat off of both of them and finished them up. Well, then I had done what you said. I went and got about 3 boxes of that coarse salt.
Yep.
And I mean, we salted the snot out of them and rolled them up. And so that's how I delivered them to you. So anyway.
There you go. Yeah. They came and you finally found your way to work and got them dropped off. No problems. But yeah, I ended up, before I put, before I did them, I took probably, I don't know, a horse bucket pail for all the equine people there, horse bucket water pail full of fat off them still after all that.
Yeah, see, I wasn't aware that you do that much.
No, and
I
you know
was, because I was going to do it myself.
Right. Yeah. Right for about 10 seconds when I started to explain the process, and I could hear
I was in on the process.
Music.
It was when you got to have this giant rack thing that I've made out of wood, and you've got, and I'm like, well,
it was circus music when I was saying it was do 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 do. And I said once I heard that on the other end of the phone coming from Todd's ears, I was like, forget it. I'm just wasting my breath here. I knew what was going to happen before it happened, but I was just waiting for it to happen.
Anyway, I am super pumped. I'm super excited, and I cannot wait to get that home and down in my home. I mean, I know it's going to be a while, but I just can't wait, and it's going to be awesome. And Christmas is keeping me occupied, or I'd be just chomping on the bit.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. I didn't ever think I'd get this opportunity to have a deer hide tan like that, and it was a nice looking one, and yeah, I'm looking forward.
Well, now you got it all pumped up. I'm hoping that it turns out okay for you.
Yeah, I know it will. But the hunt isn't over. I mean, I jumped ahead to the skinning. So we have lunch, and now we got to decide where we go for the evening set.
Naturally, I go back to my spot.
We got one tag left.
I don't want to leave that spot. I told you before that my stands are in good spots, but over this ledge, it is just freaking awesome. And I know nobody's been there. So why? The deer are walking through. It's only a matter of time before another one shows up. As I don't even know. I can't even tell you how many deer I seen that morning that I didn't shoot at. The one with the fawns, a couple more moving through. I mean, there was more. There was like 3-4 other does that walked through just too far away. Like, it was just awesome to sit there. And I could have sat there. I could still be sitting there. It's just an amazing spot. So I went back down, and that's where I'm sitting. And now I had to go down there, gut that doe, hook it up with the four-wheeler, bring the four-wheeler down and drag it out. So you're concerned that, that might mess up some, but it's still the other side of the creek is where they are. And we didn't go over there because we just pulled a winch down and wrap it around and pull that doe out. So I haven't really touched that side. So to me, that's still the better spot, the best spot to be, because it's untouched over there and they're coming down from where nobody's hunting. So this is awesome. So I'm sitting down there. Well, when I get down there, there is way over the other adjacent property, and we know the owner. There's a stand I can see, and I can see a guy. I can see orange in this stand. It's the first time this week a guy's been in that stand, and I could see him, and I'm thinking, he's like 1,000. He's football fields away, like way away, but he's cut me off for anything that's coming through that untouched area. It's still untouched because he doesn't come through there, but he has cut me off if they're going to come down out of the cornfield over on that side towards the creek. So I'm feeling a little distraught and dejected, but you know what? They still can come from the left and the right through there. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to see. So I'm sitting there. Well, next thing I know, ka-wham! My brother-in-law, who's up above me, pulls the trigger. And so I look up, and I'm thinking there's got to be a deer coming, because Rick, he's up above me, but way over on the field that's right above me. He's way over to the side in the tree stand. And that shot was coming. Usually when that happens, they're going to come running right by me. So I look up and I'm ready to rock, and nothing's coming. So I check my phone, and my brother-in-law, I'm like, was that you? That was you, wasn't it? Because I know where you are. And he's like, yeah. He's like, I took a long shot, like 200 yards, and it's still out there. It didn't even move. I missed it. It's too far. I'm not going to take another shot. And I'm like, is it coming? And he's like, well, it's heading your way. Okay, but is it coming down, or is it staying in the field? And he's not answering me. And I'm like, Rick, is it coming down? Because now it's getting close. We got like maybe 20 minutes of legal hunting time left. Like, we're crunch time. And I'm like, is it coming down, or is it up? And he's like, it's a giant doe. Is it coming down to me, or is it staying in the field? He's like, staying in the field. Well, all right. I don't know where, but just like last year, make it happen, Bill. When
gotta make it happen.
I was sitting there on the last Friday, one tag in my pocket, had a big buck down below me in that ravine, but wouldn't come close enough. And then 2 does went ripping by me, and a buck went ripping by me chasing them. And I ran up the field, and they didn't even care I was there. They ran right by me at 5 yards, and I had to actually go, hey, stop! And it was 2 bucks and 2 does. And they stopped, and I was able to shoot that 1 buck, and I made it happen. I just chased them up the side of the hill. Like, who could do that? And I'm thinking, holy crap. I'm not even going to think about, if you start to even hesitate and play the scenarios out in your head, you've waited too long. If that deer is in the field and it's going to walk by me in the field, it's going to, from when Rick shot, it's been 5 minutes. It could be by me already. I got to go. So I leave all my crap, grab my little pack and my gun, and I run up the hill, and I step out really slowly, looking out into the field through the woods, and I look out, no deer. Okay, so I step out, and there's a corner of the field. So I can see where Rick is. There's no deer between me and Rick. Okay, so it's got to be, there's a little hook around. It's got to be in that little hook. So I come up the edge of the field. It can't see me if it's in that little pocket of the field because I'm coming up the edge. And so I'm creeping really slow. Well, now it's getting darker. Now, boom, there it is. I can see it. I stop. Before I get around that corner, it's in the field far enough that I can see it. And I'm going, okay, right now it's 500 yards from me. That's a long freaking distance. I got to close the gap. How am I going to do this? I got maybe 15 minutes if I'm lucky. So I'm looking at the bedding area that I hunt is right beside me. And I got a tree stand just off in the woods from that. So I thought, okay, I'm going to dip into this bedding area, and I'm going to go through the bedding area in the woods, kind of halfway down this ravine, and then I'm going to come up where it is in the field. So as I go into the bedding area, that bedding area is flat before the ravine, and I can see it. Well, as I'm walking, all of a sudden, boom, that head comes up, and it pegs me that far away. And
it's a long distance.
It's a long ways. And I'm like, holy crap. It pegged me like you would not. And all I could see was the head come up. Oh, I freeze. I don't even move. Don't look it in the eye. Just looking down. I start to look back up. It's still staring at me. I'm not moving. I'm just locked. And I'm thinking, man, time is going. Time is ticking. Let's go.
How far is it away now?
I probably closed 100 yards by now. So it's like 350, 400 yards. So it puts its head back down, starts feeding. Soon as the head goes down, I drop to my knees and I start crawling through the bedding area. Well, I realize this is taking way too long. I do not have enough time to crawl 200 yards.
No.
Because it's getting dark and crap. So, and Rick is sitting in the stand watching all of this because I'm in orange. I mean, he could see me. I could see him. So screw it. I got up and I hunched over and I can just see it. Now I get into the thick enough stuff that I'm now moving pretty decent. And then I got to a point where I'm about 200 yards. I can see it kind of in the field. I got no options now but to start because now it's getting dark. It's just a dark spot in the field. I got like 5 minutes of legal shooting time left. I've got to get from out in the woods where I can't really see the brush and see through that to see it and close the gap. I'm really want to take a shot less than 100 yards. I don't want to shoot longer than that. I'm not confident shooting longer than that. Right? So I'm like, okay, I don't even have time to, I don't care if it sees me. It is what it is. Make it happen. I'm going to take the 75 yards of where I'm down halfway down the ravine in the junk, like on an angle, but enough that I could see it. That's how gradual that is at that spot. I could see it. So I'm just going to have to walk right to the edge of the field. And as soon as I get there, it's go time. So I start going towards the edge of the field. It doesn't even look up. I step out in the field and it looks up and pegs me. I threw the gun up, put it on it, pull the trigger, and I watch it just, and then it runs kind of hunched into the woods. And then so Rick calls me and he's like, oh, you hit it. I said, well, I know I hit it. I seen it hunch, but how well did I hit it? And he's like, dude, that's a long shot. Do you know how far that? I'm like, it's got to be 100 yards. I'm thinking. He's like, you're like 200 yards. I'm like, no. He's like, Todd, you look where you are. You got to be 200 yards. I honestly don't know. It was a long distance. When things get dark, they seem a little longer than they're further away than they are, I believe. So I was thinking that, but he thinks it was like a 200-yard shot. I don't think it was that far, but it was.
That's a long shot with the muzzleloader.
It was an uncomfortably long shot. And I held a little high on her shoulder, pulled the trigger, and watched it hunch and then run into the woods. And I said, it looks like I hit it good. Like the way it was not moving fast and it was hunched. Like it wasn't using all legs when it went in though. He's like, oh, it's dead. You got it. And I'm like, I don't know though, because it still made it into the woods. So he comes over. We start walking. I track blood. It maybe went 40 yards into the woods and then just crumpled and slid down to the bottom of the ravine.
That's an awesome story of making it happen right there.
Dude, 2 years in a row in that spot, running up the side, chasing one down, taking that long shot. Like, who puts the stock on a deer? It does not. I know what you guys do. It does not happen often.
It doesn't happen.
Whitetail are just freaking smart.
The spot and stock stuff doesn't really happen very much where we hunt too. But when it could happen, like it just did for you, I mean, that's awesome.
Well, and
to close out a season with that too, right?
Well, and that was it. That was the last tag. Turned out to be a buck. That's how dark it was getting. I couldn't see. I couldn't tell if it was a buck. I just knew it was big. So it turned out to be a buck, which was awesome. 6. I think it was a 6 or an 8. Dad, I don't remember.
That one was the fork horn.
Oh, was that the fork horn? That's why.
Your first one was the 6.
Yeah. Okay.
Point.
So that's what it was. Turned out to be a buck, but that was it. Tagged out, done deal. But I was just like, I was so pumped because how many guys would just sit there and be like, okay, it might come to me. Right. Yeah. And to just go, screw it, man. I'm going to make it happen. That's how the stories come. That's what makes hunting so much fun is when you got, holy crap, and who would have thought that would work? Just like last year, chasing deer up the side of the ravine on the last day because I got no options. I don't care. And having them run by me at 5 yards as I'm standing in the field. They did not care I was there because the rut was on and they were chasing each other around. And I just yelled, hey, stop! And they stopped at 40 yards and I put the gun on them and shot them. Like, that just does not happen. But it can happen. If you just do it,
that's right.
It's unbelievable. People get it in their heads so much. And that's why I say deer hunting for me has become work because in the bow, that's tougher to do at bow season, but it's all about the precision and the engineering of it. Right. And so hunt the wind and the scent free and sit in your stand and you got to call them in and they got to be within 40 yards and where crap like that can happen. You just got to make it happen. It's unbelievable. Guys won't believe you that happened, but I bet you it happened a lot more if you just took the chance.
So yeah, to take a chance. I mean, there's so many times where you get busted and those deer are gonna jump, but that one time it doesn't. That's when the epic story stuff happens.
It's awesome.
Bill and I just looked at each other and we started smiling because we both thought the same thing. Todd just took the pressure off. We don't have to go home because we had 3 deer down up to that point. We don't have to go home now and hang 3 deer.
Yeah, you were doing late night.
Try and get into bed by 9 o'clock because we're after tomorrow. We got to hunt tomorrow. Okay, we're going home and hang 4 deer. We're done. We can even go up to the I don't know, whatever you call it, and have the roadhouse after 9 roadhouse and have after 9 appetizers. We don't have to go to bed now tonight. We can have a meal out, do whatever we want. His wife was at bingo; he was free for the evening. So yeah, it took the pressure off. We're feeling really good, and it was awesome. We got all day tomorrow now to skin them out. We're grinning. We filled all the tags, and as it turned out, there was 6 of us, 6 tags. And Todd shot 3, I shot 2, and Rick shot 1. So it was a family hunt this year. So we owe it to Bill and Mike and Bob next year that, we got to give them first shots. So anyway.
Does that mean someone's going to sit in my stand?
No, you take away. It means that I'm going to.
Because I can't. I'm going on a ledge.
It means that with Bill with me, I'm going to say, Bill, take the first shot. It's your turn.
Yeah, it'd be good to see Bill get one for sure. Yeah, but no, congratulations, guys, on a successful hunt.
But he keeps saying, I don't care. I just like being there. I just love seeing the nature. I love being part of it. He said, I just like going. But Bill, you bought a gun, you buy a license. You need to shoot a deer so you can say you got one. He said, I don't care. But, it's fun to be there.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, good job, guys. That's a great way to end on a win like that for sure. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that you can't top that story by much. So we're should end it right there.
End it there. And so next week will be the wrap up. Your Friday, and I think I want to touch on Redneck Country morals and values with like real live examples.
Sounds good to me.
And so it'll be your story, and then and then morals and values. And then we got a bunch of other jazz coming down the pipe in the next bunch of episodes. So yeah, rock and roll. Pretty pumped.
All right.
Feeling good. I got passion back, Bill. I got passion back.
You got some passion back. I don't know what vitamin water you're drinking now, but
I got podcast passion. I got shoot passion. I got hunt passion. Good. We're good to go.
I call it arrogance.
Yeah.
You raised me. I just blame you.
No, we tried to. My wife keeps saying,
when you're this good,
we did all we could.
You don't need to raise me when you're this.
Saying we did all we could.
You were just like, you know what? At the age of 3, he really does know everything. We're just going to let him go. I got life figured out.
And I keep
we
telling
should probably end there before we lose the listeners.
I keep telling Jen.
You're 3 people. Don't hit stop yet. We're almost done.
I keep telling Jen, I warned you. I told you several times, fly like the wind. When they got engaged, I said, Jen, you're crazy. Fly like the wind. Go.
Good grief.
Yep, I did. She'll say, I know. You told me. Yep.
Glutton for punishment.
Yep.
All right. Until next week, gentlemen.
Yeah. Thanks, Bill.
Yep, take care, Bill.
And Jake, cookies, if you're still listening. just saying. Jerk. All right.
And that'll do it for this week, folks. For the Redneck Country podcast, I'm Bill, the almost guy Tom.
And I'm Todd. And thanks for listening. And folks, if you want to be part of the podcast or you want to give us some feedback or really contact us about anything, feel free to email us at podcast@theredneckcountry.com. Again, that's podcast@theredneckcountry.com. Thanks for listening. Talk to you again next week.